Hey everyone, Christina Simmons from Say Yes to Holiness here. So one of the things I wanted to talk about today, and I'm a little late today. Why? Because I was on a phenomenal webinar that had Bishop Robert Barron, Father James Mallon, and also Nikki Gumbel, who is actually the founder of Alpha. And I'm actually, for those of you who might not know, I'm actually running an Alpha group online happening Monday evenings in order for us to have a place where we can come and talk about the deep questions of faith and life. And this last week, this Monday, we had our first session, had a bunch of technical challenges, but the biggest thing is that we still came together and we spent time really reflecting upon, is there more to life than this? And I think so often we forget that there is more to life. And I think one of the greatest things that the pandemic did for us was that it gave us an opportunity to be able to really reflect what's next. Well, what's next is the perfect thing for us to think about right now, because we're on the cusp, the eve. Today is Happy Fat Tuesday or Shrove Tuesday, because Ash Wednesday is tomorrow. And with the current state of the world, part of the world is at war, of course, right now, because Russia has invaded the Ukraine. And Pope Francis called for us to make Ash Wednesday, tomorrow, a day of prayer and fasting, particularly for those impacted by the war in the Ukraine. And it's something where we forget the power of prayer and we forget the power of fasting. And a lot of time people will be like, oh, I give up chocolate for Lent. And there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, a few years ago, I think it was Dynamic Catholic, one of the bigger Catholic companies did, do more than just give up chocolate. And that is actually what Lent is about. It's the invitation that God gives us to go deeper. So how are you going to say yes this Lent? How are you going to say yes to the invitation that God has for you to go deeper? How are you going to say yes in your prayer, in your fasting, and in your almsgiving? I am wearing my Get Used to Different sweatshirt today, partially as a reminder to me of tomorrow. Get used to different. How am I going to be living differently beginning tomorrow? And that is how we say yes during Lent. We have the opportunity to be able to do an assessment right now. And I invite you, if you don't have your Lenten resolutions ready yet, do it. Sit down and assess. Look at your life and say, how is my daily prayer and meditation? Am I praying daily? I mean, that's number one. We've got to have a relationship with God. In order for us to be able to respond to the invitation, we have to be knowing and listening to Him each and every day. So what's my daily prayer and meditation look like? Second, how am I living that life of grace? Am I frequently going to the sacraments? Am I frequently going and placing myself in the presence of God so that He can transform me? We need to be doing these things. We need to be encountering His mercy, going frequently to the sacrament of reconciliation, and we need to be going and receiving the fullness of His graces that are found in the Most Holy Eucharist. So how am I living that life of grace? How am I striving to grow in virtue each and every day? What am I doing? How am I practicing the corporal and spiritual works of mercy? That's what almsgiving is focused on, is us doing those corporal spiritual works of mercy. But just as Jesus has been telling us in the recent readings, what is interior in us is what will flow out. So this is why I speak about living that life of grace, is we need to be filled with His love and His mercy and His grace so that we can go out and share it. Because all of what we are given is not for us. It's for the world. It's for those in our lives. This is why God gives us all of his graces, not just to transform us so that we are now different, but so that we become that light on a hill that people will look to, that people are drawn to, so that then they can also experience his love through us. And it's through that experience of love from another that we then have hearts softened and we are open to God's love. And when we're open to God's love, then we're open and able to be transformed, and we become thirsty for his word. And we are then propelled to go out and to serve. And this is that cycle that constantly is going on. But we have to be about first things first. So this is where abandoning ourselves to his will, not ours, comes into play. So I just listed those 4 steps that I talk about: 4 steps to holiness: daily prayer and meditation, living a life of grace, striving to grow daily in virtue, and abandoning ourselves to God's will. And when we abandon ourselves to his will, we are trusting that he is going to care for us, and that he will clothe us like the birds of the field, that we will be loved because we are loved. How do we know this? Because Jesus died for us. He came and he died for us, and he loved us so much that he suffered and died for us. This is how much we're loved, and this is our opportunity during Lent to respond and say yes to his invitation to receive his love, to be transformed by his love, so that we can go out and love and share that good news with others. And that's what Alpha is all about. That's why I'm doing an Alpha group during Lent, so that we can have that place where we can be discussing the big questions of life, but so we can come to know the person of Jesus, because Jesus is who has made the difference in my life. And there's no greater gift, there's nothing more loving, no greater work of mercy than to share with others, introduce others to Jesus. That's the most charitable, most loving thing that we can do. And that's what almsgiving is about. Almsgiving is about pouring ourselves out for another, just as Jesus did. And that's why the church asks of us to make resolutions of prayer and fasting and almsgiving. Now, again, you might be thinking, okay, fasting, I have to give up meat on Fridays, and also is a day of true fasting on Ash Wednesday and also on Good Friday. So just as a reminder that true fasting is not just abstaining from meat, but it's also about only having the equivalent of 2 meals during the day. So you have 1 full meal, and then you can have 2 smaller ones that don't equal another full meal. And so you can eat 3 times during the day, but it's just the amounts that you're eating, and you're being attentive to refraining from meat as well. So from that aside, our fasting can be so much more. We can fast from our phones. We can fast from gossip. We can fast from watching a particular TV show. We need to look and see what are the things that we are doing that are keeping us from being able to draw closer to God. And those are the things that we need to fast from, whatever they might be. Now, it might be food. It might be that you're turning to, snack on something rather than turning to God and allowing him to fill you. It might be food. But more often than not, it tends to be those things that are not leading us into deeper virtue. It's not leading us into being filled with joy, being people of peace. On the workshop, on the seminar I just was on, everyone, so Bishop Barron and Nikki Gumbel and also Father Mallon, they all, we all commented about, the situation in the Ukraine. And Bishop Barron made the point of we have to be peacemakers. Not just people of peace, but we need to be making peace. And we only do that by getting rid of the things that are preventing us from doing that. Hard to be a person of peace, a maker of peace in our world if we are gossiping or tearing down the reputation of someone. That's not being peaceful. That's not being a peacemaker. That's being a person of division. We need to be attentive of those things that are preventing us from becoming the people that God created us to be, from us becoming whole with a W-H-O-L-E, so that we can be holy, H-O-L-Y. This is the Lenten call. So, how are you going to say yes this Lent? What are you going to do? What are your resolutions of prayer and fasting and almsgiving going to be, so that at the end of this Lenten season, we truly can live as an Easter people? This is our call. This is our challenge. This is the invitation. It's the invitation to go out and to become who we were created to be to begin with. Living, breathing, wonder-working saints. All of us were created for this. All of us have the opportunity to say yes to it. So again, how are you going to say yes this Lent? That's my challenge to you. Know of my prayers for you, and know that whatever it is that our Lord is placing upon your heart, even if it seems difficult, especially if it seems difficult, He will be with you each and every day, each and every step, each and every moment, so that you can walk that journey that He's placing before you. So don't be afraid to say yes. Our Lord will give you all that you need, so that this Lent can be one of the most fruitful and wonderful Lents that you've ever experienced, if you say yes. How will you say yes? Again, know of my prayers that it is a truly blessed season, and I'll see you on time next Tuesday. God bless.